Hello, viewers. Welcome back to another episode of The Ghost Incorporated. And today we begin a different kind of series, which is going to be on witchcraft, if I may call it so. Witchcraft has intrigued man over ages. And today we are going to talk to Sree, who is a young woman who was a follower of the modern form of paganism made popular in the 20th century, and it is popularly known as the Wicca. Wicca is so very popular that Marvel went on to create a character, William Billy Kaplan, one of its superheroes. And so we can imagine that how popular it is with the young people also. Welcome to this episode, Sree. How are you?
I am absolutely fine. I'm doing great. Thank you, Ghosts Incorporated, for having me today.
We are very, very fortunate to have you here because we wanted somebody from the Wiccan world to begin this series because it is something which I don't think we know much about. But more than wanting to know about the practice, I would like to know your mindset. What attracted you to this path?
Well, in 2005, I lost my mother to cancer. If you ask me, that was a turning point in my life, and that's what prompted me or uh, intrigued me to understand or to venture into the unknown, to try and find out if there is anything beyond life and death,
Right.
something that we can comprehend in real life.
Mm.
So that's what actually prompted me to, venture into this path. But at that point, I didn't know anything about Wicca, to be very honest.
Okay.
I was just in search
Mm.
of other ways of life
Mm.
than the normal spiritual path and the religion that we are known to follow,
Yes.
and find out if there are alternatives,
Mm.
or trying to um, be accepted somewhere where I belong.
Mm.
So that's when I came across Wicca. And I don't know what I felt at that point, but I definitely felt a connection with the soul at that point in my life, I would say. It's been like 7-8 years um, since I first got introduced to Wicca, and I followed the path for a year. So yeah, that's the thing.
I'm so sorry for your loss. It must have been very, very difficult to lose a parent that young. In 2005, you must have been really, really young, Sree.
Yeah.
Yeah. And but life after death is something that has intrigued all of us, right? And it's a question that has haunted man in many religions. Of course, we do believe that there is life after death, but I don't know. I mean, even in the Western world, because of psychiatrists who have practiced regression, there are some very, very well-known psychiatrists like Brian West who have talked about life after death during their practice. So maybe life after death doesn't exist, and whoever has lost a parent would want to reunite with them, or whoever has lost a loved one would want to meet them again. And this concept of souls is so very, fascinating that it lives on. But coming back to Wicca, did you have a clear understanding of what you were attempting, Sree?
No, absolutely no. I was completely clueless and young, and I just knew that I was venturing into a path unknown, and I had to find whatever I was searching for. I didn't know what I was searching for. So, no, I would say I had no idea. But I knew that I had to take this path at that point.
Okay. So
Something was
was there a friend or a relative who kind of introduced you to this practice or this way of life?
no, absolutely no, not. At that point, for some time I went into a shell. Like I did meet a lot of friends, went out, spoke to my relatives, but somewhere deep down, I was just hanging out with myself.
Mm.
So you could say that I was in a shell,
Were you
and
in
I
a
wanted to.
depression then? Would you like to call it that?
I wouldn't say depression because that's a very heavy word,
Yeah.
but it was definitely going through a low phase, and I was trying to fight it,
Okay. So
and I was looking for inner peace
so
at that point.
how did you get into your journey with Wicca?
So I was just searching and flipping through Google. I was just searching like what are the paths, alternative paths, like I was saying in life, and how do you find inner peace and random searches, and suddenly I came across Wicca. Then I started studying the little I could find on the net. You do not really find much on Wicca. You just
Mm.
find a lot of documentations and people's perspectives, but not the actual history behind it.
Right.
So that's what intrigued me more, since Wicca was talking about inner peace, endurance, stoicism, not magic per se.
Mm.
So that's where I connected. It felt real.
Okay.
And that's when I started searching and I came across, I wouldn't say cult, but a group,
Mm.
who was practicing this, path in my city.
Mm.
And that's when I started. I wanted to connect with them and I just went ahead.
Uh, what would you say you gained in your journey?
To be fair and honest, a lot at that point.
Mm.
I, when I started practicing it, I gave my heart to it. And it just introduced me to a whole new way of life. Like in Hinduism, we talk about Hinduism as a way of life, not a religion.
Right.
It's the same way. Even in
Mm.
Sufism, it's the
Mm.
same. It's just the same way
Mm.
uh, that Wicca made me feel.
Mm.
So it was as if I was following a path, and
Mm.
in this path, I reconnected, or rather connected for the first time with my spiritual side. I
Mm.
became more sensitive to my surroundings, and although we all have the capacity for empathy, but I think somehow it got enhanced through
Mm.
this practice. And since Wicca is about connecting with nature, harnessing the power of nature and energy, which I've always believed in, so somehow it felt real and it felt connected. So I basically connected with my spiritual side. I found peace at that point.
Okay. So, did you have experiences which were different from what we have in our usual lives?
I did. Um, there's one particular experience which has left an indelible mark. Um, but at that time, I would say I'll come to that experience. But apart from that, um, at that point, I was able to harness the energy from my surroundings, and it was initially fun, but it was deeper than that. I could feel the energy of other people. Um, like I am a mental health professional,
Right.
so perspective is a bit different. I'm naturally observant, or my study makes me more observant. than many people who are, in different other sort of professions.
Okay.
But this was a different kind of, energy that I was picking up from people. It was more spiritual. Also, uh, each of us, we had to carry crystals. It was about white magic. It was about healing. It was about healing yourself and the people around you. So this is the beauty of Wicca.
Tell me
So
something. Sorry for interrupting you, but does it give you powers to read the minds of other people?
no, not really, but it could be different for others. But if you ask me personally, it wasn't about reading the minds of others, but it was about feeling their emotions, more intensely, trying to. But that's what that's when I'm bringing that value of empathy. You don't really judge people. You do not really become hyper, but there is stoicism in everything. It's like you feel, you endure, and there's wisdom in this path.
Right.
So
So this wisdom is something which lies latent, perhaps in all of us, and we don't look for it. We get so involved in our daily lives.
yes,
So, how did it help you as a mental health professional?
it's been many years. It's very hard to connect, but what I would like to say here is that following this path for a year um, taught me stoicism. That's a very important word, I would say.
Would you
Taught
like to
me to be.
explain it? Explain the term stoicism to our listeners, because many of us may not be, kind of familiar with the term.
It's simply, it's enduring pain and hardship, but display, no feelings of complaint, display acceptance. But it's not about, suffering domestic violence or anything that's bad. But it's simply about enduring and knowing when to act, how to act, and not hurting any other's feelings, but remaining calm, in every point in life,
So,
harnessing that inner
the
wisdom.
picture that you paint of a practicing Wiccan, I mean, if I may ask you, how did you handle the stereotypical image that people have of a witch, let's say, or a practicing witch? And here, Wicca is very much, kind of connected to how, I mean, witches function or witchcraft or magic. So, did it hamper your way of life?
Well, witch hunting is real, and it's been since 11th century. So it was pretty weird. Even still people judge when you talk about practicing witchcraft. So they think it's hocus pocus and magic, and then you might affect them in some way. So whenever I tried explaining it to a few friends, but the kind of weird expressions I got from them, I stopped after a point. They're like, "Oh, Wicca, witchcraft, okay." And then few of them were not even subtle enough. They're like, "Stay away from me, please." So
So, do
it
you
was
think
a pretty weird experience, but funny.
most of the people who are into this path, do they, kind of shy away from telling people? Would you say that is correct? Unless and until one is very much, established and one is revered in a way.
It's Wicca as a path is now much more accepting than when I had started practicing it. Like 7, 8 years is a lot of time. People are slowly opening up to it. They are more aware that there are alternative ways of finding inner peace and God. Definition of God obviously is up to everyone. Like, so right now, I think it's a little different. People don't give you that stares, but they get intrigued rather, most of them. So that's the difference I find in 7-8 years.
Okay. So let's talk about your experiences, if you would.
So, like I was saying, it was at that point when I was actively practicing it, it became easier for me to harness the energy, tap into, the nature, because it's all about respecting nature, about loving it, about being one with it. So you really feel that connect. I felt that connect. And what was interesting is that, each of us, had a crystal. There's a lot to do with, crystal stones and um, healing through white magic. So crystals and stones, they do have, energies. They store energies. And each stone or crystal has a different form of energy that they store.
Okay.
So that needs a lot of study. So I will not go into it, but from the little the experience, I would like to share that each of us had a crystal. So this crystal was connected to our soul and our energy. We would not allow anybody else to touch it. Then it would become impure.
Okay.
So I remember there was a point. It was fun that I could move the crystal without touching it.
Wow.
Using fingers on top of it. And it's about energy. It's not about hocus pocus magic. And at some point, maybe we can explain it through physics, but it is possible because I did it, and I was just, it not only it was part of what I was practicing, but it helped me concentrate. So whenever I would feel distracted or anything, I would just sit by myself and try to connect with my crystal. I would also meditate with it, holding it in my hand, because meditation, communicating with yourself is a very important practice in this part. So that was there. Now, coming to that particular experience I had, it was in one of the sessions while we were meditating as a group. We were all doing it, and I exactly do not remember, but we were trying to connect with whatever comes to our mind, the free flowing thoughts, and with our inner self through that. And I remember, like, I went into it deep, and I was, walking through this long path. There were doors in between, and when I reached the last door, it opened, and I was in front of, I would say, an ocean. It was just water and water. And I was meditating at that point. So I was in my meditation, I was walking. I started walking, through that path, on the water. And there was another door. As it opened, I saw my mother approaching me.
Sorry?
And
You saw your
saw
mother?
my mother. Yes.
Oh, okay. So that is what you were looking for all this while, actually.
Yeah, but it doesn't end here.
Okay.
There is more to it.
Okay.
So she we did not really touch. There was no physical touch, but for a moment I felt one with her, and she was smiling, and I knew what she was wearing, the whole appearance. It was not very clear, but it was weird. I can't really explain it in words what I saw. And then um, the door closed again, and I retreated back to reality. And when I opened my eyes, so we all, one by one, whoever wanted to share their experience, they did. I did too, but not in details. I just said that, I think I connected with my mother. I think I was still not sure what I saw. And that evening, I came back home. That evening, I got a call from my teacher that, please come, I want to meet you. So the next day, I went to meet her separately, and she um, narrated her experience in the same room where I connected with my mother through meditation, and it was uh, it was absolutely same. That I still get goosebumps thinking that if both people in the same room having the same experience in their respective meditation, you know it can't be unreal or can't be false.
Right, right.
So she narrated what she saw. She saw exactly the way I pictured her, which I did not share with others.
Okay.
And then she
She
said
looked
that
happy.
my mother had come to the same room, yes,
Okay.
in peace, at peace. But she
Mm.
was there in the room, and she was tapping on my shoulder. Her hand was on my shoulder. That's how my teacher saw her, and in the same way that I pictured her, without me sharing that experience with anyone. So that was a turning point for me, I would say. I didn't know what I felt at that moment, but I definitely did feel peace. It was like, something that I wanted, and it just came without knowing it, you know, without being prepared for it.
Mm. See, it must
That
have
was
been
one experience.
overwhelming, and because you had lost your mother, and she was suffering when she passed away. So to find that she was happy and she also wanted to connect to you, it must have been a wonderful experience for you. And
It was peaceful. So initially I thought maybe I was dreaming, and maybe, I was seeing what I wanted to see.
right.
But when she explained her narrative,
Mm.
that's when, it kept me thinking it is not possible otherwise for two people to,
Mm.
have the same dream.
Thank you so much for connecting to us. I'm sure our listeners will gain a lot from listening to you, and they will have a better understanding and maybe look at it as a path for peace and not for harming anyone. And no broomsticks are involved. There is no
Not
Harry
at all.
Potterism. So, uh,
No, it's
uh,
a very, very old way of life. Very old way of life. It's like it's old. It's 25,000. It's been there since 25,000 years. So
Sree,
it's
I mean,
it's very old.
are you still practicing Wicca, or you don't have time for it anymore?
Um, I would say that there came a point after practicing for 1 year when I was I became more distracted because of a personal trauma that I was going through again. I would have found, and Wicca was helping me through it. But then at that point, there came a moment where I couldn't cope. So in Wicca, there is a lot of discipline involved and
Okay.
everyday practice. You have to have that mental space to do it. So since I was getting distracted, both my teachers and myself, we both realized that it's time for me to let go for some time.
Okay.
So that's when I came out of it. And since then, I think life happened intensely, and
I
I
know.
couldn't go back. But I still hold the values that it
Mm,
taught me.
right.
I think
So,
it was meant to be.
okay. So,
It was a step
yes,
in evolution
yes, maybe everything is predestined, and Vika will find you when you require it again. And
when I'm ready, maybe someday.
yes, when you are ready. So thank you so much, Sree, for joining us at the Ghost Incorporated. And this has been a learning experience for me because this is so far away from what we picture practices of witchcraft, so to say, though it isn't witchcraft at all. So, listeners, let us join me in thanking Sree and for giving us her time. This is the Ghost Incorporated. So, please share, subscribe, and like our channel and stay connected.